Hello everyone, this is Ankit Sharma from All India EV and you're watching Bharat EV Talks. This is season 2 and with us we have Maxwell, one of the leading IoT and BMS manufacturers in India. Thank you ma'am, thank you for joining this session.
Thank you, Ankit. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure
So,
speaking
ma'am,
to you.
we would like to understand about your journey in the EV market because before reaching out to Maxwell and talking about Maxwell, it is very important to understand what was your journey. So, can you take us through your journey in the EV market and Indian EV market and how you're looking at?
Sure, Ankit. I have 2 decades of industry experience. Most of this has been into the automotive sector. Before joining Endurance Technologies, Maxwell Energy System is the 100% subsidiary of Endurance Technologies. I've been associated with the organizations like Motorola and Harman Automotive. Um, After spending 2 decades in the industry, I found that EV industry is a natural next step because a lot of innovation is happening here, and that innovation is also linked to the purpose. So that's how I'm here, and looking forward to the great synergy with the other organizations here, so that we can actually be part of India's journey towards leading the next era of electrification.
So, Kavita, what all things you are looking at Maxwell? Can you take us through, what all things you are doing and what Maxwell is doing for the Indian EV market? As I know, but we would like that I would like that our viewers should know what you guys are doing. Basically you are not just a BMS manufacturer, but taking the entire spectrum of IoT for the EV market. So, can you take us through it?
Sure. So at Maxwell, we are actually not only developing the advanced electronics EV components, but we are actually building the in ecosystem for the clean mobility. Uh, so when we talked about that Made in India initiative here, Maxwell is the organization where we are actually developing right from the design to manufacturing each and every product from the day one in India at our Aurangabad facility, where we have the in-house production lines. We are mainly into the battery management systems, right from the e-rickshaw to the two-wheelers to the three-wheelers. And if you talk about the high voltage commercial vehicles like the trucks, buses, we have all the solutions with us with respect to battery management system. And beyond battery management system, we are into the motor controller units, we are into the chargers, and also into the DC-DC. You talk about any electronics component, we have our presence there. You talked about the IoT, of course, the telematics comes by default because today's world is the connected world, and those are our USPs as well. So we are developing all these products in our in-house. We have the in-house the R&D in India, in-house production. From the day one, we are actually contributing to that.
So, with all the products which Maxwell is making, I mean, India, there is a huge demand for all those products, be it PMS, be it IoT, be it DC-DC converter, chargers. But as of now, a big chunk of all those products are coming from out other countries, and we see a lot of gap in terms of the technology, the R&D, the manufacturing capability. So, can you give us some insight on that? How do you see how what are the gaps India should work on, and what you guys are doing in the same?
See, I would say that India is at a very pivotal juncture right now. While we are seeing a surge in the EV adoption, most of the critical EV components like BMS, chargers, DC-DC converters, MCUs, even the batteries, they are still getting imported. So yes, there is a clear gap, but that also brings us a huge opportunity. So, to build this gap, actually, we need a ecosystem-wide focus, a push. We need to actually focus on the stronger R&D, the component supply chain, because the all the semiconductors are still we are relying mostly on the imports, and we also need the government and the industry collaboration, right? The PMA drive, which is actually incentivizing, or they are linking the subsidies to the Made in India BMS, that's a huge step
Mhm.
to in the right direction. At and at Maxwell, we are developing all the indigenous products from day one, as we talked just a while back. So we have actually invested into the in-house R&D, in-house our productions. So that's how actually we are enabling the journey for our OEMs, where they need not to rely on these major components on the on the global supply chain. We have also invested recently into the battery pack manufacturing. So those are also actually, most of the companies are getting everything is right now from the China being imported.
Talking about BMS, you guys are manufacturing BMS for two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, and BMS is a very key component in the EV product. Can you tell us what separates the Maxwell BMS and from others? What is something which you guys are offering? Is there something in terms of the backend, in terms of the data and everything? What separates Maxwell BMS from others?
See, I would say that BMS is the brain of any EV. And if you talk about the battery is the heart of the EV,
Of course.
BMS is the brain of the EV. And the role of the BMS becomes even more critical in India. See, our vehicles, they operate in the extreme weathers, in the winter, in the heat, in the dust, humidity. And more than that, we talk about our poor road conditions also in our tier one, tier two, tier three cities, right? We are aware of those that. So at Maxwell, we have tailored our BMS technology to be close to these realities. So our adaptive thermal models, our robust SOX algorithms, and the safety first architecture, they are core to our platform. So we are building a scalable platform which can actually cater to the range of the application, a range of the vehicles. So that's where we are actually bringing the differentiation. And not only that, when we talk about like this is what we are providing today, but we also need to look ahead in the future as well, right? When we talk about their climate situations in India, there is a lot of innovation is happening on the battery side as well, right? We were in NMC, now we move to the LFP, and the upcoming chemistries are coming, like the sodium ion and the solid state chemistries are coming up, right? Those are to make the batteries even more safer. So our BMS architectures, they are already actually tuned to all these future technologies as well. And that's where we bring the differentiation. So our BMS is not just for today, it is built for what is coming up next. So that is how we are able to make our unique position in the Indian market, and ready for the
Of course,
upcoming
I mean, you
technologies
rightly
as well.
said that the way technology is changing. Previously, it was NMC, now LFP. A new chemistry, LMFP has came up now. Alternate chemistries are coming up, sodium ion, and all those things. So, as a BMS manufacturer, you need to be ready with what is coming in the future. You never know whenever sodium ion will reach to the economical break even, the market will start adopting it because it's much safer than lithium. So now other companies will have to invest in restructuring their algorithm, their solution according to that, and you already have that particular thing. That's really interesting to see that the companies like Maxwell is not just looking at the market at present, but also market which is going to be in the future. That is something amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Ankit, I can add,
Sure.
keep on adding on. I mean, not only the chemistries, see, the future of EV electronics is actually, it has to be modular,
Mhm.
connected, as well as the intelligent. And there are five major industry shifts are happening for which
Okay.
we are actually getting ready. We talked about the battery
Mhm.
chemistries, that's the first one. And the second one, I mean, everybody is talking about the rare earth magnet free motors, right? So while the world is trying to move away from the rare earth magnet, at Maxwell, we are already actually building the motor controller units which are using the high frequency switching devices like the GN and the EIS. So those are the things which are already investing here, so that the next motors can run with our motor controller units without using the rare earth magnet. Then localization
Of
is
course.
coming as the top priority, which we already talked about, right? As well as there. If I talk more about how our products are ready for the future, you must have heard about the technology
Yes,
V2G,
yes.
vehicle to grid, right? Which will actually enable our vehicles not to become a passive power assets, but they'll become the active power assets. In the future, you will hear that our electricity is going back from power is
Hmm.
going back from vehicle to grid, right? Those are technologies are coming up. So the basic role of or traditional role of BMS, which was safety, is evolving right now, and we are making our BMS algorithms, like by integrating the learning into all those things. We are actually making them more and more intelligent, so that they can tell to the battery also when to actually participate in the grid. So the future BMS has to be predictive, and they has to be grid aware. So that's where we are already getting ready. Then the another thing which is coming up, the X in one, right? See, you would hear that every OEM is talking about X in one to reduce the cost. By what is X in one? This is an integrated platform where the BMS, DC-DC charger, motor controller units, even the lighting controls in the vehicle, they will come into the one unit. And when these things are happening, we need to be ready as well for those technologies, and we are already offering to our OEMs. It is increasing our GTM as well as value
No,
proposition to OEMs. And whatever we are talking right now, India is already on the cusp
no,
to.
no, please
Sorry,
continue.
you were saying something. So what I'm saying that these are not only the talks. Like India is going to. I mean, they're on the cusp of adopting all these technologies, and our goal at Maxwell Energy System is actually to basically ensure that the electronics which are bringing these shifts, they are not only smart, but they are built locally and
Of
scalable
course, I mean,
globally.
you rightly mentioned these all these developments, starting with motors. We were talking with a couple of motor manufacturers, and we got to know that, yeah, to for India to be an energy independent nation, all the segments of power in the energy segment, be it power generation, be it transmission, consumption, storage, has to be locally manufactured, or should be in a kind of collaboration where it is sustainable. We should not be dependent on only one source, so that anytime that particular source can control our entire industry. And I was speaking to a couple of the motor manufacturers, and they were talking, yeah,
Yeah.
India is heavily investing in the rare earth free magnets motors, so that all these things can be developed in India. And the amazing thing is that you mentioned about V2G. Yeah, that's one of my favorite concepts, because V2G is a part of UEI, Unified Energy Interface, which you also know that we are at present, we are sitting at a very amazing time. India is shifting its energy infrastructure and making it a digital, where every individual who have a solar energy installed at a rooftop can sell power to anyone. And at that time, we can do battery swapping, we can do EV charging through that one particular platform, which means the core part, the BMS or the electronics, has to be smart enough. It also need to be secure enough, so that it can protect every data. And that's really amazing. I was talking to one of our organization who has done a pilot project of V2G in Kerala just recently. It's very promising. It's very promising technology. And it's amazing to see that how Maxwell is making sure that, yeah, these are the things which is going to redefine the Indian energy market, and we need to be ready with it. So yeah, amazing. Congratulations to all those things.
Absolutely.
So, the future trends which you just mentioned, I just want to have one add-on question to it. At present, how much India is ready with that, and what kind of timeline you are looking at? Be it V2G, be it other things. What kind of timeline Maxwell is looking at to it?
When we are talking about the technology like V2G, it's not only about getting or being ready from the component side like BMS. They needs to be very smart, predictive, and grid aware. It's also about the policies, right? There has to be the government policies. There has to be the common protocols which needs to be established. Though the concept is already a buzz in the industry, I think till the time we have the standardized protocols and the policies are in place, it will still take us a while to get to that completely. So we are actually utilizing the time to be ready from the Maxwell side, right? The moment the protocols are established, government also brings up certain things, we will be ready with that thing.
So, Kavita, we have seen a recent policy update in terms of the BMS, specifically BMS. Now, if someone wants to have a subsidy on their vehicle, the BMS, the motor, and battery has to be made in India. Of course, in the battery there is an exception of cell, but motor, BMS, and the battery has to be made in India. Can you tell us, about it, how you are looking to it, and if we talk about made in India BMS, how much localization of the components and the parts Maxwell has achieved in the in its BMS?
Sure, sure. Uh, so, Ankit, you rightly said that the latest policies, PMA Drive and the PLI schemes, they are actually the game changers, which is pushing the EV adoption, right? That's a game changer. So, when we are linking the subsidies to made in India BMS, for instance, right? What is the purpose here? So, it not only incentivize the localization in India, but also it is building the quality bar very high across the board, right? So all these initiatives are actually enabling India to shift from being seen as a market for EV to
Of
become a
course,
builder of EV ecosystem, right? When I say builder of ecosystem, that not only one component, we are talking about end to end localization here. And for Maxwell, with the in-house R&D team and the localization, the manufacturing here, um, basically we are actually establishing the position here. I'll tell you about the recent awards which we have got. We got the four prestigious industry awards, which also included
of
the
course.
Make in India champion as well as the best R&D in EV advanced electronics, right? So these are the things which are happening here in the market, which tells that actually government is bringing a lot of push here. While we got these awards, your question is about what is the percentage of
Of course.
localization we have achieved. So see, when we are building the product, one is that okay, the technology, you talk about the production here, but I would say that the you go to the basic components like the power electronics and the microcontrollers, they are still being getting imported, right? Because while these policies have given a huge push, and they are actually very very strong steps in the industry, but we still need more investments on the core component R&D within India. For example, these microcontrollers and the power electronics we just now talked about. Unless those investments are happening here on the semiconductor side, these are happening. It's not that it is not happening, but it has to like pick up the speed. For these component, will still rely for the imported supply chain, global supply chain. But we are a step ahead from our competition. If you see, the market is dominated by the Chinese EV component. You talk about the BMS, there is a Chinese BMS available, motor controller is available, and all. So our goal is actually to first replace the product level, the Chinese products which are available right now. Our goal is to replace them, and we are well on our way towards that. So that is there, but till the time our component level R&D investments are happening at the major level, we still be having a percentage which will still be getting
Sure.
imported.
I mean, from the policy point of view, at least we need to replace the Chinese product. So first, we need to have a proper assembly setup where at least, if not the component manufacturing, at least the product is totally assembled in India. And once it is done, then we can move ahead to the next part, which is manufacturing those critical components in India. And of course, I know company like company like Maxwell is doing a lot of R&D in developing those things as well. So this is very amazing thing. Coming back to one last question of discussion.
Yeah, just to add on one point, Ankit, I mean, we are not just assembling, we are making the intelligent products through that technology. We
Yeah,
are a technology company. Of course, we are manufacturing. Yeah. So we are bringing the real technology in
no,
our
I
products
know
as well.
that what the Maxwell you guys are doing. I'm just taking a wider perspective that in terms of, as you rightly said and rightly pointed out, that this is the most right way to replace the Chinese product from Indian market is to at least start assembling the products in India by procuring the components from elsewhere, and then once you have your own products in market, then start manufacturing those critical components as well. That's the most right and obvious step. Coming back to the Maxwell, can you tell us like where currently Maxwell is as a one-stop solution for all its electronics for EV, and what we can expect in the next 5 years? Also, although you already have mentioned that you guys are working on products like V2G and other things, but still, I would like to understand from your perspective what we can expect from Maxwell in the next 5 years.
See, our vision is to become the most trusted advanced electronics partner in the EV segment. Whenever anybody thinks about the advanced electronics component, they think about the Maxwell name. I want Maxwell name to be the household name, and in the EV industry. So that's the vision, and not only in India but globally. By the way, not only India market we are supporting the market outside India as well right now. And in 2025 we are already well on our way towards this vision. We talked about the many products, right, for the different segment on the automotive side. Uh, we already talked about, like, we'll cover from e-rickshaw to the high voltage buses and trucks, and not only our BMS portfolio but on the motor controller units, DC-DC chargers, and even on the battery side, right? So we are already providing the off the shelf as well as the custom products. We are working with many local and the global OEMs where we are developing the custom products also as per their requirements, and all are built locally. So our vision is to, I mean, 5 year down the line also, when somebody thinks that okay, new technology is coming up, we are already ready for that. And whatever we are customizing right now, they'll become the off the shelf products there, and that's how is there. And just to add on, I mean, the fact that this year we received the awards like the best BMS of the year and the advanced electronics company of the year, that is not just a validation. It talks about that how our it talks about how in India also, I mean, the market is getting ready for the advanced electronics, and we are very proud and excited to be part of that
And
journey.
this, yeah, of course, this is very amazing to know that there are companies in India who are thinking that okay, it's their responsibility to take the Indian market to a point where it is self-sufficient. It is not, it is sustainable. It is not dependent on someone other, so that that person can dictate its own terms. And the wider perspective and the end goal of this all these things is taking India to a point where it can be an energy independent nation.